My husband was cheating on me, and I had no idea at all. It wasn't until his so-called best friend told me, in front of a crowd, that I found out. Nathan completely lost it. He stormed up and punched Jason hard in the face. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he shouted. "What kind of crap are you spewing? Whose friend are you even supposed to be?" Jason took the punch, steady and unflinching. "Sure, Nathan, hit me if you want. I've put up with you long enough. Every time we come to the karaoke bar, you bring that girl with you. Then you go home and play the loving husband with Emily." He turned to me. "Emily, you think he's out late every night working his ass off? Nah, he's been partying with us. He doesn't come home until past midnight, because after work, he's still with her. He even bought her a place, right across from your complex." My birthday party turned into a total joke. And strangely, I wasn't even the most embarrassed one. Nathan was. He never imagined his so-called best friend would expose him like that. One after another, people began to leave. Each person wore a different expression. Some pitied me, some mocked me, some cursed Nathan for being a scumbag, and others criticized Jason for being disloyal. But Jason stood firm and unbothered. "What's so disloyal about telling the truth?" he said. "Was it loyal when Nathan stood here in front of everyone and announced he wanted a divorce? He wants to leave her, but he tries to make her look like the villain, like she's so controlling and suffocating that he has no choice but to escape. What, you think it's okay to throw your wife under the bus like that, just to make yourself look clean?" He raised his voice even louder, making sure everyone could hear. "Let's see how you all feel when something like this happens to you. Hope your husbands and their buddies all lie to your faces too." The room went completely silent. Nathan's fists were clenched so tightly his knuckles went white. He looked like he wanted to charge Jason again. The room was like a grave. I finally turned to Nathan and asked quietly, "How long has it been?" I couldn't believe I hadn't noticed anything. 2 years, he said. "She's still in school. Don't make things harder for her. She came from the countryside. It hasn't been easy for her." He looked at me, speaking so calmly it made my skin crawl. "Emily, you're not like her. You'll be fine without anyone, but she can't survive without me. She has no one else, no family, only me. Without me, she won't make it." I let out a snort of disbelief. "So what? That means I'm the one who should be thrown away? Cheated on? Betrayed? If Jason hadn't said anything, I'd still be standing here at my own birthday party being accused of being too strict, of pushing you into a divorce. How could you be so disgusting?" "I'm sorry," he said. "She's pregnant. I need to give her a sense of security. She's still in school. If I didn't push you like this, you'd never agree to the divorce." I gave a soft, bitter laugh. Then I started laughing harder, until tears ran down my cheeks. "What do you take me for? You're already divorcing me, and I'm supposed to beg you to stay. Why didn't you just tell me you had someone else and wanted out? Do you really think I'd cling to you?" Nathan didn't say another word. He just muttered, "I'm sorry," and turned to leave. It wasn't until today that I found out Nathan had another home, another life, right across the street from ours. He bought her an apartment there. I locked myself in my room for 3 days. I didn't go to work. In the office group chat, everyone was gossiping about me. Can you believe Emily's husband cheated on her? He's been keeping another woman on the side. I saw her social media. It's all photos of her and her husband traveling together. They're always together. How did he even find time to cheat? Your world's too small. I've seen guys sneak out for hotel hookups while picking up their kids. They've been together since college, 8 years. Got married right after graduation. That apartment they live in, Emily bought that. When they got together, he had nothing. She even supported his whole family. Now that things are finally going well, he turns around and cheats. Typical man. You think she'll divorce him? What, just let that bastard off easy?" I exited the group chat and stopped reading their whispers and rumors. I opened my social media and started deleting every single post that had anything to do with Nathan, one by one. I used to be the woman who had it all. A loving couple. A handsome, wealthy, and attentive husband. I was the picture-perfect woman everyone envied, at work and in life. Even when I went back to my hometown, relatives swarmed around me with compliments, saying how lucky I was. I had good grades, a great college degree, a solid career, and a wonderful husband. They all said, If you have a baby in a couple of years, your life will be perfect. They praised my good judgment, that I didn't look down on him when he was poor, that I invested in a promising stock early on and helped lift him step by step to where he is now. He started his own company and became President Carter, admired and untouchable. He must have really forgotten the days when he was broke, the times he went hungry, the embarrassment of not even having $1 in his pocket, but still wanting to buy me a birthday present. 3 days later, I got a call from Nathan Carter's attorney. He wanted me to sign the divorce agreement. The property would be split 50-50, except for our current house and his company. The house we lived in was purchased by me, and the startup capital for his company, $300,000, came from my parents. He said he'd return the $300,000 to me with interest, so I had no right to the company. He believed that was fair. I told them, if he walks away with nothing, I'll sign immediately. The lawyer chuckled coldly. Miss Davis, you should know that the law doesn't support a complete, clean slate divorce. As a woman myself, I sympathize with you. I understand. Right now, Mr. Carter feels guilty and is willing to split everything equally. But once that guilt passes and he starts thinking clearly, you might not get as much. Besides, if you divorce sooner, you can start your new life earlier. Why drag this out? I gave a soft laugh. He didn't wait for the divorce to start a new life. Why can't I do the same? If he agrees to walk away with nothing, I'll sign immediately. The lawyer stood up and sneered. Miss Davis, you're just stalling now. Even if we go to court, your demands won't be supported. If you insist, we'll see you in court. I went back to work. My supervisor already knew what happened and offered me a month off, but I declined. Between marriage and career, I had to choose one. Since the marriage was gone, I'd put my energy into work. I kept going to the office every day as if nothing had happened. No one could tell how wrecked my personal life was. My coworkers assumed I had decided to tolerate it, that I'd chosen to coexist peacefully with the mistress. After all, it was a common story, especially with a wealthy husband. If I divorced him, wouldn't I just be handing him over to that woman? One of the older colleagues even pulled me aside to offer some wisdom on marriage. Emily, if you're smart, you'll learn to yield a little. Your husband's rich and successful now. There are plenty of women out there eyeing him. You've got to know when to look the other way and play along. That's how you get through life. She went on. That woman outside, she's got him wrapped around her finger because she knows how to act soft and vulnerable. You shouldn't focus only on your career. You should give Nathan a child already. You're his real wife, after all. That woman's child would be illegitimate. I couldn't make sense of their version of marriage. Finding out your husband cheated and then rushing to have his baby just to hold on to your rightful place. Even my parents gave me that same advice. They said Nathan wasn't the poor boy he used to be. He was now a company president, and his firm was about to secure major funding and prepare for an IPO. Divorcing him now, they said, would only benefit another woman. I didn't understand why everyone was trying to persuade me. This wasn't about whether I wanted a divorce. It was about Nathan insisting on divorcing me to give the other woman a proper title. And then my dad said, so why don't you just soften up a little? You two have been through so much. You stood by him through all the hard times. If you bend a little, he'll soften too. Men at this level, they want to be admired. They want to feel like they're protecting someone weak. I went home for dinner, and all I heard were those same lines. If he wants to protect the weak, then go do charity work. There are plenty of people in the world who want to be protected. Just as I was getting ready to leave, Nathan showed up. My parents saw him and called out, "Oh, Nathan, what a coincidence. Emily's home too." Nathan paused for a moment, surprised. "Emily's here?" My mom smiled. "We didn't know she'd be coming home today. You two should talk. Really talk this through." "There's so much I want to say to you," Nathan said. My parents quickly stepped out of the room. Nathan sat down on the couch and adjusted his suit. "The court hearing is coming up. There's really nothing left to talk about. The sooner you sign the divorce agreement, the sooner we can finalize things. It'll be better for both of us. I know you don't want a divorce, but I've fallen in love with someone else. There's no going back." He softened his tone a little. "Emily, after all these years together, let's at least end things on good terms." I replied flatly. You're overthinking it. I didn't even know my parents invited you today. Then I looked him straight in the eye. Nathan, my dad gave you the family's $300,000 relocation compensation to start your business. Without that money, you wouldn't be where you are now. And now you want to return just the $300,000 and expect me to agree to a divorce? Don't kid yourself. Nathan's expression darkened with frustration. Emily Davis, when did you become so calculating and materialistic? Yes, the $300,000 came from your father, but it was my ability that built the company. If you'd invested that in someone else, you probably wouldn't have even seen a return. I'm paying you back, principal and interest, and you're still not satisfied? You want me to walk away with nothing? What do you think this is? Some romantic novel? That's never going to happen. He sneered. You're just wasting time and youth clinging to this. I don't love you anymore. Why do you insist on staying together? What's the point? Watching Nathan yell at me, I remembered how excited he was when he first got the $300,000. He hugged me tightly and promised, Emily, believe in me. Once I make the company a success, I'll pay you back 100-fold. I'll always be grateful to you and your father. I'll love you forever. I'll treat you well, I swear. I love you so, so much. Back then, he meant it. And now that he's successful and has someone else, he means it when he says he doesn't love me anymore. Once my parents realized Nathan was dead set on the divorce, they stopped trying to talk him out of it. Instead, they told me to just end things quickly and start a new life. Don't waste any more time on something so meaningless, they said. When I told them I wanted him to leave with nothing, they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. To them, it was impossible. And with Nathan's wealth and resources now, he had both the time and the means to fight me in court. I hired a lawyer too, Jason, Nathan's former best friend. Ever since my birthday party, they had completely fallen out. I repeated my stance to Jason. I want him to walk away with nothing. I thought he'd laugh at me like everyone else had, tell me I was dreaming that it wasn't possible. But Jason said, okay, let him walk away with nothing. In that moment, I smiled. I smiled so hard that I cried. I wiped at my eyes and said, there's construction outside your firm. Some dust must have gotten in my eyes. Jason handed me a tissue. Damn dust, huh? I'll have someone clear it out. And then someone actually showed up with a bulldozer and started removing the sand. I started crying even harder. The guy driving the bulldozer must have thought he offended me somehow, because he floored it, engine roaring, and raced away as fast as he could. Watching that bulldozer speed off like it was fleeing the scene, I started laughing again. Crying and laughing at the same time like a mess. Suddenly, Jason pulled me into a tight hug. He wrapped his arms around me and held me like he'd never let go. Don't be afraid. I'm here. I listened to his heartbeat, slow, steady, thudding against my ear, and somehow I started to feel calm again. Jason and I actually grew up together. We were childhood friends, raised in the same neighborhood. He was left with his grandparents when he was little because his parents lived abroad. Then, in high school, he was finally sent overseas to join them. He only came back a couple of years ago and ended up working with Nathan's company, which was how they became close. One day, I got a friend request from a stranger. Just from the profile picture, I had a hunch who it was. I accepted the request. Right after I accepted the friend request, she sent me a flood of photos, pictures of her and Nathan hanging out together, Nathan sleeping on a couch while she leaned in to kiss him, and even a photo of them lying in bed, wrapped in each other's arms. There were even videos, explicit ones, of the two of them. She wrote, "Sis, your husband doesn't love you anymore. Just let go with dignity and divorce him, okay? Nathan's been trying so hard to protect me because he was afraid you'd hurt me. But I know you're a kind person. If your husband cheated, you'd blame him, not me. After all, even if it wasn't me, it would have been someone else, right? You knew I lived right across from you, and you never came looking for trouble. That's how I knew you were a good person. Sis, let go. Let me be with the father of my child. I really love him, and he really loves me. I'll talk to Nathan and ask him to give you a bigger settlement. Just sign the divorce. You're still young. You'll find a man who truly loves you." She went on and on. I didn't even finish reading the whole message, but one thing was clear. She had handed me every piece of evidence I could ever need. All the proof of Nathan's affair. And the best part, she'd taken it herself. It wasn't some sneaky footage I had to get on my own. It was all completely legal. I forwarded everything to Jason. Jason laughed so hard he nearly choked. She really just handed over all the evidence herself? We're one step closer to making that bastard walk away with nothing. That calls for a celebration. Let's go grab some late-night snacks. Her name was Alex Lynn. She was a junior at Capital University. She came from a poor background and by chance got financial support from Nathan. That's how she became his scholarship student. Jason sent me everything about her, her academic file, her university's contact info, even her advisor's name and number. As we sat eating skewers, Jason said casually, "You could just send those chat logs to her school. They'll take care of it." She said, "You're too kind to ruin her." I agree, you're a good person. You wouldn't go after her. Then he added, "Of course, what she did, being a homewrecker, is her personal and moral failing. The school probably won't expel her. At most, she'll get a warning." I didn't say much. I simply turned around and reported everything about Alex Lynn to her university. Just like Jason said, the school issued a warning and gave her a lecture. No further punishment. Only a few teachers and her advisor knew about it. But not long after that, a massive banner appeared outside the university gate. Junior finance student Alex Lynn, deeply in love with a married man, pregnant with his child, respectfully requests the wife to accept her as a concubine. There were even people beating drums at the gate. Instantly, the entire campus was buzzing. Teachers, students, everyone saw it. Alex became famous overnight. Her name hit the local news headlines, infamous as the homewrecker. But I wasn't the one behind it. Alex didn't believe that, and neither did Nathan. Nathan showed up at my place, furious, ready to confront me. But when he rang the doorbell, Jason was the one who opened the door. It had been raining. Jason got soaked on the way over, so I let him take a shower. That's all, just a shower. But the moment Nathan saw him, he exploded. Whatever reason he'd had for coming was forgotten. He threw a punch straight at Jason. This time, Jason didn't hold back. He easily dodged, grabbed Nathan's fist, and pushed him aside with no effort. "Nathan," he said coldly, "what exactly are you doing in her apartment?" I stepped forward and said, "We're getting divorced, remember? This place is under my name. It's not your home anymore." Nathan glared at me, clenching his jaw. "Then let me ask again. Why is he in your apartment, Emily Davis? We're still married." "Exactly," I said. "We're still married. But that didn't stop you from having an affair, did it? So why is it such a problem if Jason is here?" "What are you trying to say?" Nathan shouted. "What the hell do you two mean by this?" Jason crossed his arms and calmly replied, "Oh, I get it now. So you get to cheat, but she's supposed to stay loyal and untouched? You can mess around, but your wife's supposed to be some pure saint? What a joke. You're a textbook narcissist with a terminal case of male entitlement." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Jason was right. Nathan couldn't hold back anymore. "You did this on purpose. You've had your eyes on Emily all along. At the birthday party, you exposed everything just to sabotage me. You were never my friend. You planned this from the start." Jason didn't even flinch. "Planned what? Emily and I grew up together. We were running around naked in diapers when you were still in some backwater pigsty." That was it. Nathan lost it. He tried to start a fight with Jason, but he couldn't land a single punch. Frustrated, he went home and smashed everything he could get his hands on. He completely forgot the real reason he came over that day: to stand up for Alex Lynn. He was supposed to confront me, demand answers, defend her, but he was so blinded by rage, he forgot to say any of it. Or maybe he remembered the next night, after cooling off, because he came back again. He helped himself to a beer from the fridge, twisted off the cap, and chugged the whole thing in one go. Then he sat down, looked at me and said, "Emily, I know you're mad at me for getting close to Jason, but let's just call it even, okay? What I don't understand is, why did you have to go after Alex? She's innocent. It was me. I was the one who fell in love with her, and couldn't stop myself." He stared at me with this look like he didn't even recognize who I was anymore. "You used to be so kind. What happened to you? I don't even know you anymore." He said it like he was the one being wronged, like I was the one who cheated. And now that he believed I'd done the same, All his guilt had magically disappeared. He said, "Alex had a bright future. You ruined it. Her story's all over the city now. She's been expelled, she's pregnant with my child and cries herself unconscious every day. You should just divorce me. I want to marry her properly and give her a real name. This is real love, Emily. Strong, unshakable love." I looked him right in the eye and said, "Fine. You give up everything and walk away with nothing. I'll sign the divorce papers tomorrow." Nathan was stunned. He couldn't understand how I could be so calm, so firm, when, according to him, I'd cheated too. "You cheated, Emily," he said, "and you still expect me to walk away with nothing? You're crazy. What proof do you even have that I cheated? Jason takes one shower at your place and suddenly you're sleeping with him? Did you see it with your own eyes?" Then a strange little smile crept onto his face. "So it didn't actually happen, did it? I was right. You're just using Jason to get under my skin, right? Emily, I knew it. You're not like that. You're a woman of principle. You're not the type to just move on so easily." I smiled bitterly. "Right, you and I, we're not the same kind of people." "I couldn't sleep all night," he said, voice softer now. "I thought you and Jason really. I don't know what happened to me. Just seeing you with him made my chest tighten. Honestly, maybe I don't not love you anymore. I guess I've just been confused." Just then, we heard the sound of a toilet flushing. A second later, the bathroom door opened and Jason walked out. Nathan's jaw dropped. "You were in there this whole time?" Jason shrugged. "Where else would I be?" Nathan turned to me, furious. "Emily Davis, and you still claim there's nothing going on between you two? You've really disappointed me." He slammed the door behind him on his way out. Jason scratched his head. "Sorry, I was walking by and suddenly had the worst stomachache. I couldn't hold it. Does your ex-husband think I slept with you?" "It's fine," I said. Then Jason gave me a piece of news. Nathan's company was in the middle of Series C funding, and their biggest potential investor, Moreland Capital, was hosting a charity gala. The invitation was addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Carter. But Nathan hadn't told me he planned to bring Alex instead. Jason handed me the invitation card. "All you have to do is show up and tell Moreland the truth, that you're Nathan's legal wife. If you do, Moreland will reconsider their investment in his company." He even sent me Moreland's full background. The managing partner, Miranda Moreland, was a renowned venture capitalist. Years ago, she'd been betrayed by her own husband and built her empire from the ground up. The one thing she despised most? Men who didn't understand the meaning of loyalty. Jason said if you go through with this, Nathan's company probably won't make it to IPO. Miranda holds serious weight in the industry. If she pulls out, no one else will dare step in. Then he looked at me and added, "But I know you. You're kind. You want to end things peacefully. You're not the type to go scorched earth on your ex." "This doesn't benefit you either," Jason had said. "After all, for him to walk away with nothing, he still has to hand over a large sum of money to you, right?" I already knew Jason's tactic. He was just provoking me on purpose. If Jason hadn't told me about the charity gala, I wouldn't have even known it existed, let alone gotten my hands on an invitation. I rarely attended any of Nathan's public events. He always told me, "You don't like those kinds of settings anyway, so there's no need to force yourself." I used to be grateful for his thoughtfulness. Turns out, he just didn't want me there. Which is why in Nathan's social circle, almost no one knew what I looked like. Before the event, I visited a temple and sat quietly for a long time. I really am a kind person. Doing something even slightly vindictive makes me feel guilty. But honestly, being too kind is a weakness. Sometimes, it's better to be shameless. So I went to the gala. Nathan showed up with Alex Lynn on his arm, introducing her to everyone as my wife, Alex. "Yes, she's pregnant," he told them. "The morning sickness has been rough. I worry about her every night and can barely sleep. Pregnancy is such a challenge." Clearly, many people in the room already knew Alex. Nathan told them they had been together for 2 years. Which meant, for the past 2 years, Alex had been attending events like this in my place. Alex leaned against Nathan and smiled sweetly. "Pregnancy is hard, but not as hard as earning a living. I'm lucky to have a husband like Nathan. I must have used up all my good fortune in this life to marry him." They looked so affectionate, so perfectly in sync. Everyone around watched and smiled. Even Miranda Moreland gave a nod of approval. Mr. Carter, she said warmly, a man who treats his wife well is bound to succeed. Your company is sure to thrive. Nathan looked thrilled, but just as he was about to respond, he saw me, and the color drained from his face. Alex and I had met before. I remembered it suddenly. 2 years ago, she came to my house with a basket of eggs, saying they were fresh from the countryside. She had an old flip phone at the time, so I gave her a brand new smartphone. She nearly stumbled right then and there, leaning heavily against Nathan's chest. She was terrified of me now. She must have thought I was the one who put up that banner at her school, but it wasn't me. I'm guessing that was Jason's handiwork. Nathan stormed over and tried to drag me out. I yanked my arm free. Emily Davis, are you really going to make a scene and ruin me? He hissed. You're a career woman. Why act like a crazy ex over a little marriage drama? If you destroy me, you won't get much in the divorce anyway. As if not destroying him would get me more money. Nathan Carter, I said coolly, stop talking about money like it's the only thing that matters. How tacky. Ever heard the phrase, it's not about the bread, it's about the pride? When he saw me walking toward Miranda, he muttered through clenched teeth. I'll walk away with nothing. I'm doing what you asked. I'll give you all the money I made from the company over the years. Just don't ruin my business. It's everything to me. Miranda had been watching us the entire time. As I got closer, one of her assistants stepped forward. Excuse me, ma'am, are you looking for Ms. Moreland? He glanced at Nathan's hand gripping my arm. Nathan quickly let go. Yes, Miss Moreland, he said, flustered. I've heard so much about you. Would it be all right if I took a photo with you? He added quickly, she's just a college friend of mine. I was just stopping her from interrupting you. Oh, come now, Miranda said. Something this small isn't an interruption. After Miranda and I took a photo together, I left. As I reached the exit, I turned and caught a glimpse of Nathan watching me, visibly shaken. Alex was still hiding behind him, too embarrassed to even look up. In the end, I won the divorce. Nathan gave me everything, except the company. To him, as long as he could protect his business, all the money he gave me could eventually be earned back. When I went to collect the apartment across the street, Alex clearly had no idea the place had been meant for me. This is the apartment Nathan bought for me, she shouted. You have no right to take it. She was screaming, hysterical. You already got me expelled from school. What more do you want from me? That expulsion was your own doing, I replied. I had nothing to do with it. This apartment was purchased with marital funds. Now that Nathan's walked away with nothing, tell me, do you really think I don't have the right to take what's mine? But Alex refused to leave. I called the building management to handle it. Alex completely lost control, screaming, yelling, drawing a crowd of curious neighbors. Before long, everyone in the complex knew she was the mistress. People were pointing at her and whispering, she's so young. How is she affording a place like this? Driving luxury cars every day, carrying designer bags. I thought she must have married well. Turns out she's just someone's side piece. What bad luck, having to share a roof with a mistress. Another added, the real wife's here to take the house back, and she's asking what right the wife has to do it? What a joke. Someone else chimed in, and look at her, already pregnant. Honestly, the wife should drag it out. Let her have the kid out of wedlock. Alex had lived in the spotlight for so long. Aside from being laughed at by classmates after her school scandal, she was used to being envied when she stepped outside. She'd never been mocked so openly and brutally by neighbors before. She broke, sat right down on the floor and burst into tears. What do you mean, mistress? Being unloved is what makes you a mistress. I'm the one he loves. How does that make me the other woman? That was probably the most shameless thing I'd ever heard. Then Nathan showed up. He rushed over and scooped Alex into his arms, glaring at me furiously. Was it really necessary to humiliate her like this over a house? You've become cruel. I'm glad we're divorced. You're like a completely different person. Alex, clinging tightly to Nathan's waist, leaned into him proudly. Honey, buy me a better house next time, okay? I don't want this one anymore. Nathan softened immediately. Of course, sweetheart. I'm sorry you've had to suffer. I hadn't said a word, but one of the older ladies in the neighborhood had clearly had enough. It was the dead of winter, and she dumped an entire bucket of cold water out the window. Disgusting couple. You two make me sick. The water drenched Nathan. Furious, he threatened to call the police. I stepped forward. Don't be ridiculous. She accidentally spilled some water. That's not a crime. Worst case? The police show up and make her pay you $500. I'll send you $5,000 via Venmo. Happy now? I'll never forget the way Nathan looked at me just then, like he'd been stripped bare, completely humiliated. I remembered the early days when Nathan was just starting his company. Money was always tight, but he never once asked me for help. I respected his pride and left my bank card in his drawer. After he used it, I'd quietly transfer my new paycheck onto the card again. I gave him money and preserved his dignity. I stood by him every step of the way, from broke dreamer to successful CEO. And how did he repay me? Let's get divorced. I don't love you anymore. I love someone else. What a joke. As Nathan walked away, still holding Alex, he looked back at me. I met his eyes, calm, unflinching. Cold. His brows furrowed slightly, and the expression on his face was hard to read. I had assumed Nathan would marry Alex the moment our divorce was finalized. But even after the baby was born, they still weren't married. Nathan was constantly buried in work. He was terrified that anything might go wrong before the IPO. All his focus was on running the company smoothly and securing funding. Meanwhile, Alex was drowning in insecurity. She called him a dozen times a day. Even when he was out having dinner with clients, she suspected he was seeing other women. Once, when Nathan was out of town at a hotel conference and didn't answer her calls, Alex stormed in with the baby. She barged into a room full of employees and clients, causing a scene so huge that Nathan's reputation took a serious hit. Right there in front of everyone, he snapped. Can't you act like a normal human being for once? I'm working. Emily was never this insane. She had her own life, her own career. She never made everything about a man. You just cry and drag that baby around. Stop crying, you're ruining my luck. But Alex wasn't one to take that lying down. She screamed right back. What, you regret divorcing her now? Too late. I already had your baby. You'll never be rid of me for the rest of your life. I found all this out from Nathan's assistant. She even sent me a video. Back when the company was still small, I used to bring gifts every time I visited, snacks, little things to share. Later, when the company grew bigger, I'd order afternoon tea for the whole office whenever I dropped by. Nathan's assistant told me that Alex never brought anything. Every time she came to the office, she acted all high and mighty. Once, in front of everyone, she scolded a young female employee for slacking off. The poor girl was so humiliated she quit the very next day. Alex even tried to take over the company's finances, claiming it matched her major. But thankfully, Nathan still had some sense. He didn't let her. He just told her to stay home and take care of the baby. Since Alex had clawed her way up as the other woman, she was constantly on edge. She didn't trust any female employees around Nathan. Anyone who got too close, she would threaten directly. Now, no woman in the office dared say more than 2 words to him. Then the company's funding collapsed. After a period of due diligence, Miranda Moreland decided to pull out of investing in Nathan's company. And once Moreland dropped out, the other backers followed. Forget going public, they were struggling just to stay operational. That weekend, I invited Jason over for dinner. He hadn't even stepped inside when he smirked and asked, "You told Moreland about Nathan's affair, didn't you?" That's why the company's funding tanked, and they missed the IPO. I hadn't even opened my mouth to answer when the elevator doors opened, and there was Nathan. He looked shocked to see us. Practically staggered forward and demanded, "I gave up everything. You still won't let me go, Emily? Do you hate me that much? Are you actually happy watching me fall apart?" I glanced at Jason. This again? Acting like some fragile saint. What did you think, Nathan? That I'd be rooting for you to get richer by the day? Nathan clutched his chest as he turned to leave, like the weight of it all might actually break him. He hadn't come for anything else. He just wanted confirmation that I was the one who told Miranda about his affair. That's why she backed out. He said, "Emily, whether you believe it or not, I honestly hoped you'd be doing better by now. I can't believe, even after everything, I still have feelings for you." I laughed, loud and sharp. "You hoped I'd be doing better? You cheated, got your mistress pregnant, and now you stand here after the divorce talking about still having feelings? Who are you trying to disgust exactly? I turned to Jason. It was you again, wasn't it? Jason shrugged. What? How could it be? Nathan's company failed because of its own problems. Alex was the one who really wrecked things, not just his life but his business too. Apparently, Miranda had once visited the company and caught Alex bossing employees around, berating staff like she ran the place. From the staff, Miranda learned everything about Nathan's mess. After that, Nathan banned Alex from ever setting foot in the office again. So now she watched him even more closely. He didn't have a shred of freedom left. I suddenly remembered what Nathan said on my birthday, the day everything fell apart. He wanted a divorce because he wanted freedom. Be careful what you wish for. Less than 3 years later, his company was in serious financial trouble. After the failed investment round, multiple backers had pulled out. To stay afloat, Nathan had taken out massive bank loans. Now, he couldn't pay them back. Cash flow had dried up. Salaries weren't being paid. Employees were gathering outside the building, holding banners and demanding their wages. He was genuinely broke. Most of the money he'd made over the years had gone to Alex. She kept using the baby to guilt-trip him. No matter how hard things get, the child can't suffer, she'd say. But in the end, the child still suffered. The only one who didn't was Alex, who draped herself in luxury while being absolutely useless at everything else. One evening, as I came home, I found Nathan sitting outside my apartment door with a bottle of liquor. The moment he saw me, he tried to stand up. He was unshaven, his clothes wrinkled, his hair a total mess. He reeked of alcohol and stale smoke. I instinctively took a step back and covered my nose. The look on his face twisted in pain. You don't love me anymore, do you? He said. I can tell. You can see it, can't you? Nathan said, staring into my eyes. There's no light in them anymore. But Cherry, over these years I've missed you more and more. I can't sleep at night. I regret everything. God, I regret it so much. Why did I make that mistake? Why did I leave you for someone so worthless? I couldn't help it. I had to rub salt in the wound. Worthless? I scoffed. She was your one true love, wasn't she? You were desperate to give her a title. And now what? Still hasn't happened? Go home and raise your kid, will you? The disdain in my voice nearly broke him. So there's really no chance for us, is there? He said. You can't stand to look at me now, but when we first met, I looked just like this. His voice cracked. All these years. I've never been able to forget you. That's why I never married Alex. Nathan, I said flatly, stop trying to romanticize your own downfall. You're not noble. You just ended up exactly where you started. Broke. And if life had only gotten better for you, you wouldn't have remembered me for even 1 second. Maybe I hit the mark because I saw a flash of panic cross his face. Cherry, he said, actually, I came today because I need a favor. For the sake of what we once had. The elevator dinged. Jason stepped out holding a bag of groceries. Well, if it isn't Mr. Carter, Jason said with a cheerful smile. Nathan's eyes followed Jason as he unlocked the front door and slipped off his shoes like it was second nature. Then, Nathan turned to me, stunned. You two are really together? Jason shrugged. Got business with my girlfriend? He raised an eyebrow. Or are you here to borrow money? Because if that's the case, babe, don't lend him a penny, it's not coming back. I hadn't even said anything yet when Nathan clammed up and changed his tone. I'm not here to borrow money, I just wanted to see how Cherry was doing, that's all. Then he fled, clearly humiliated. Jason looked after him and chuckled. He totally came to borrow money. You got all that cash in the divorce, and now he wants it back. Well, I said, he's not getting any of mine. Jason rolled his eyes. Please, like I'd let him touch even a nickel. You keep your money. I'll go cook. My mom's coming over soon. Your mom? I blinked. It's the first time I'm meeting her. I should be going to your place, not the other way around. It's fine, he said. She's been living abroad too long. She doesn't fuss about those things. Just then, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I froze. A tall, elegant woman stood at the entrance. I blurted out instinctively, Miss Moreland? Miranda smiled warmly and took my hand. Why so formal? I used to hold you when you were a baby. You just don't remember. You called me Auntie back then. Auntie. It's you? I was stunned. Jason is your son? You didn't know? She laughed. I thought you did. He insisted on coming back to China for you. Gave up everything overseas. In that moment, I couldn't help but think, Nathan might have been right. Jason had been planning this from the start. Maybe it was all intentional. He probably got close to Nathan just to get closer to me. I reached over and pinched Jason's waist. "You sly fox." Jason grunted in pain and protested. "I swear I didn't plan anything. You're being paranoid." But I couldn't shake the feeling. Something didn't add up, but I had no proof. Meanwhile, Nathan's downfall was complete. While his remaining staff were still scrambling to salvage things, Alex had already bailed. I heard that Nathan, crying and desperate, clung to Alex's hand and begged, "I have nothing left, just you and our son. You won't leave me, will you?" That very night, Alex took every valuable thing from the house and disappeared. No one knew where she went. She left behind only their son, now suffering. And as the boy grew, he looked less and less like Nathan. Nathan came to see me again. This time he wanted to borrow money for a paternity test. He had no one left to ask, but he really needed the truth. Jason immediately jumped in. "Let him borrow it, he has to know." I rolled my eyes at him, but in the end, I lent the money. I never asked Nathan what the results were. But later I heard through someone else. Nathan fled the country to escape his debts. He left the child behind with his creditors, swearing he'd return once he made enough money. Those creditors took turns looking after the boy, waiting. Nathan never came back. Eventually, they called the police. It was the police who tracked down Alex and made her come collect the child. I saw her at the station. Since Nathan was my ex-husband, the police asked if I had any idea where he might be. Alex spotted me, grabbed the boy, and bolted like I was going to confront her. Jason stood next to me and said gently, "You're too kind. You wouldn't say anything to hurt her." But I couldn't resist. I called out, "So who's the kid's real father?" Alex froze. She clutched the boy and ran like a track star. The creditors standing nearby were stunned. "Wait, that kid's not Nathan's?" What the hell? Nathan really had the worst taste in women. For a split second, I actually felt bad for him. Then I thought about correcting them. His taste wasn't always that bad, after all. He chose me once. He just didn't know how to cherish me. But I found someone who does. Sometimes, losing the wrong person is the only way to meet the right one. I still remember how devastated I was when I first found out Nathan had cheated. It felt like my whole life had collapsed. But Jason once told me, when life doesn't go the way you want, maybe it's because fate has a better plan. I think he was right.